Investment bank has called the end of Australia's world record housing boom, saying the golden years are officially over after home prices fell in Sydney for the second month in a row. There is now a persistent and sharp slowdown unfolding, ending 55 years of unprecedented growth that has seen home values soar by more than 6,500%, UBS economists wrote in a note to clients on Thursday. Home prices in the capital cities have continued to slow on a quarterly basis, weighed down by tighter lending requirements for property investors and banks' out-of-cycle raising of home loan rates. In Sydney, home prices fell 0.6% over the quarter and were down 0.5% over the month, figures from property data group CoreLogic showed on Thursday morning. Home prices in Darwin and Perth were also down 4.4% and 0.7% respectively over the quarter. Melbourne's market conditions remained more resilient, with home prices up 0.5% for the month and reaching growth of almost 2% over the quarter. Nationally, home prices stayed flat over the month and edged up only 0.4% over the 3 months to October 31st. UBS had previously been cautious on the market, forecasting Australia's annual home price growth would moderate from solid double digits to 7% in 2017, before prices would even fall by 0.3% in 2018. But the recent weakness in auction clearance rates and anemic price growth over the past 5 months suggested the cooling may be happening a bit more quickly than even we expected. Economists George Varanu and Carlos Cacha wrote in their note, downgrading their growth forecast for 2017 to just 5%. The cooling house prices and a slowdown in demand for loans to property investors suggested a tightening of financial conditions, which will likely weigh on consumer spending and prompt the Reserve Bank to keep interest rates on hold until the second half of next year, they added. Despite the recent downturn in values, Sydney home prices are up 74% since the latest growth cycle began in early 2012. However, the latest figures show it may now be more lucrative investing on the share market than in property, CommSec's chief economist, Craig James, suggested in a separate note. Total returns on shares rose by 15.5% in the year to October, while total returns on capital city homes rose by 10.7%, he pointed out. With a record amount of new property supply, such as new apartments and townhouses coming onto the market, and stalling wages and rising energy prices, sapping consumers' chances of saving up money for home deposits, property price growth is unlikely to bounce back in the future, according to Commonwealth Bank's senior economist, John Peters. It is hard to see this situation reversing anytime soon, with consumers now running down their savings to maintain current living standards and paying bills, he warned. With that, man in custody in relation to Alexander Heights stabbing. A 27-year-old man has been arrested and is assisting police in relation to an incident in Alexander Heights overnight where a man was stabbed to death. Police were called to a home on Linto Way at around 1:30 a.m. Wednesday morning and found a 22-year-old man suffering stab wounds. He was rushed to Royal Perth Hospital but died a short time later. K9 units were patrolling the area overnight and forensic officers arrived at the home this morning. The offender remained on the run Wednesday morning. One neighbor told 9 News Perth she was woken at around 1 a.m. by a woman's scream. Police are asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers on 1-800 333 000. I trained as a Chinese pole artist with the marquee performers. When it comes to the birdcage during Cup Week, it's all about trying to outdo the next guy. The same is true of the marquees, which each year compete for bigger celebrities, more delectable food and a gimmick that will get them on the nightly news. And then there's Mum. Known as the party marquee, where Julie Bishop has been spotted having a boogie, Mum has a reputation for bringing a little bit of the cray-cray to the otherwise anodyne setup. A few years back, they imported dancers from the Moulin Rouge, and last year, installed a fully plumbed swimming pool, where Olympian James Magnuson famously took a dip. The pool won't be returning, but organizers are promising something even more magnifique, but details are being kept under wraps until Thursday's official marquee unveiling. Still, they were happy to offer this writer a sneak preview of performance, Troupe Strut and Fred's Voyage, Nautique Show, which is how I found myself at a pole dancing studio in central Melbourne on a chilly November morning. When I got the call to say my idea was a goer, I had to Google Chinese pole naively. I had initially thought I was going to learn a few dance moves, at most a little can-can. No, I was going to climb a 4-meter pole and learn how to swing around it using my own body weight. Putting me through my paces was Mikhail Brers, a French performance artist, who came to Chinese pole almost by accident. It's a weird story. When you go into circus school you need a speciality. I was breakdancing, doing the Afro-Brazilian martial art capoeira. When I saw the pole, I said, I am doing pole, Chinese pole. I had no clue how to do it, he said. But with a little chutzpah and a few tumbles, Brers, who will be touring Sydney this summer with Limbo Unhinged, fudged his way into the course. So is it as dangerous as it looks? It's a bit dangerous. There are some falls, shoulders, and knees, but not big injuries, he said. At the races, Brers will perform barefoot on a pole, dancing style pole, albeit bolted down at the bottom, only, as opposed to a regular Chinese pole, which is 6 meters high and requires shoes. So how did I do? Aside from nearly popping a shoulder on a reverse twist, I managed a few moves. But I think I will stick to writing about the marquees, not performing in them. Sex and the City's Gilles Marini says